Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 1st of December 2022. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, I came across this tweet today from the Ethereum on ARM Twitter account here, basically saying you can now run a full/archive/staking Ethereum node for less than $400, and they break down the hardware that they've used to achieve this here. So I've gone over similar setups before, and I actually discussed this board the other day. But basically, this is the Rock 5B board, the 16GB edition, and all these prices are in US dollars. That cost $189. The acrylic case with a passive heatsink is only $13. A 2TB SSD is $140. Micro SD $8. Ethernet cable $6. Power supply $9 for a total cost of $365. So obviously less than $400 there, and they also link to all of these parts that you can check out for yourself as well. But this is awesome. I mean, I've often talked about how the reason why Ethereum is so limited at the base layer is because we keep it that way in order to make it so that people can run full and archive nodes and validators on low-level hardware. And I've said before, consumer-grade hardware, but I mean, this is below consumer-grade, right? This is considered low-level hardware here, or I guess like a below consumer grade hardware, because realistically, things like this, they can do certain tasks really well, but I mean, they're not going to replace a home PC for a lot of people who do more demanding tasks. But the point is that to run a full archive node and to run staking validators isn't actually that demanding. I think the biggest requirement is probably that SSD, right? I mean, you can see that adds on a whole bunch of cost to it, because you can't use a hard drive, which I think, to be funny, the thing is that SSDs are either just as cheap or cheaper than hard drives these days. And it used to be the case that they weren't. I remember actually when it was over at like $1 per gigabyte for a SSD. And now, and this wasn't NVMe SSDs. This was like the first SSDs. I remember back a long time ago when I was first buying them, how expensive they were, and now they're just dirt cheap. So I think that because of that, like it obviously brings down the cost of running validators on Ethereum, running nodes on Ethereum, and all that good stuff there. But the fact that you can run it on a low-powered, less than consumer-grade device here is awesome. And the footprint's so tiny. Look at the thing. It's tiny, right? I mean, we don't obviously have any scale here, but if you know how small a Raspberry Pi is, then it's basically the same size. So just a great tweet that I wanted to highlight, something you guys might be interested in checking out. I'll obviously link this in the YouTube description below. I haven't got one of these. I mean, I've got a bunch of Raspberry Pis that I could set up a full node on. I think I did that like a few months ago, and then I just let it kind of sit there, and I don't think it's running right now. I don't even think it's plugged in. I have like a hobby workshop in my study here, where I just build a bunch of different things and play around with them. But as with any hobby related things, the projects kind of go by the wayside when something more interesting comes along. But maybe I'll get back to that and report my findings there with the Raspberry Pis on running full nodes, and maybe even running a validator on it. We'll see. Right. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that for you guys. It'll be linked in the YouTube description below. All right, just a reminder here that the Ropsten testnet is shutting down. Several infrastructure providers and validators have already stopped supporting the network. And Tim says here that we expect the remaining ones to turn off their nodes in the coming weeks. And there's a full announcement that you can check out on the blog post, which is a new blog post that was just posted. I mean, it's very, very short. You can go check that out. But yeah, if you are using Ropsten either as a developer or a validator or running any infrastructure around it, just know that it's pretty much getting completely shut down within the next few weeks, and it is not going to be used anymore. We have two other great testnets that you can continue to use, which is Sepolia and Girly, and they are obviously proof of stake testnets as well. They went through the merge transition before mainnet. So yeah, just wanted to give a highlight for you guys. Reminder for you guys on that one. All right, so Tomasz from the Nethermind team put out a link to Sedge today, which I think I've covered on the Refuel before. But Sedge is basically this piece of software that allows you to have a one-click setup tool for proof-of-stake network and chain validators. So currently, Sedge is designed primarily for solo stakers and testnet devs of Ethereum. Sedge generates Docker Compose scripts and the entire on-premise validator setup based on the chosen client. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting this today is, one, I mean, I saw Tomasz tweet about it again, but also I had a similar experience over the last 48 hours with a similar tool, which is the Rockerpool node stack, smart node stack, I should say. So I spun up my first Rockerpool minipool, which isn't active yet. There's a 12-hour waiting period from when you deposit, when you do the deposit. and create the smart contract. I think from time of recording, it should be active in 3 hours from now. Hopefully, I'm still awake by then to see it go live there. But I do want to talk a little bit about this. So, but that's why I also highlighted this from Tomasz, which I'll link in the YouTube description below, because this is for solo stakers. Whereas what I played around with today is obviously for the Rocket Pool network. So I want to give high praise to the Rocket Pool community for producing such an awesome piece of software and an awesome documentation kind of archive to go along with that software. I followed the documentation completely. I didn't do anything on my own. I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow the docs. I'm going to see where they take me, see if I run into any issues. Maybe I can be helpful if I do run into any issues. But I didn't. Everything was really straightforward. Now, obviously, I have a lot of experience with solo staking, and some of that translated over, but the smart node stack itself, I mean, it does share a lot of the same concepts, obviously, because it's still staking Ethereum, but it has its own things. You know, it has its own interface, it has its own command line options, it has its own Grafana dashboard and things you can monitor on there that are relevant to Rocket Pool, and the documentation went through all of that. Like, not once reading the docs was I actually thinking to myself, wow, something's missing here, or I wish they clarified that bit, or I wish they did this bit. And it was just a really seamless experience. So for anyone thinking of spinning up a Rocket Pool mini pool, I mean, I highly recommend doing it. As I said, it's a seamless experience. I didn't run into any issues myself. They've obviously spent a lot of time, they being the Rocket Pool community and the core team, have spent a lot of time honing and refining the whole experience from the software itself to the documentation. So I highly recommend checking it out there. Now, I will say that even though I didn't run into a snag, there was something that I caught, I guess, like post making the deposit. So I actually covered this the other day. So currently, right now, because there's a premium on RETH, there's an arbitrage opportunity where essentially, if you don't use the Rocket Arb software, which was developed by a Rocket Pool community member, you can check that out in the Discord channel. There's more information about that, the Rocket Pool Discord channel. If you don't use that and you just do a vanilla deposit, which is what I did, an MEV bot will take the Arb opportunity from you. So basically, I think I missed out on a little bit of ETH of profits by not doing it myself, and someone else got it because of my deposits. So just keep that in mind if you do spin up a mini pool, that you need to, if you don't want an MEV bot to take the premium essentially, or the ARB that you could be doing yourself by spinning up the mini pool, definitely check out Rocket ARB. But you can find that in the Rocket Pool Discord channel. But that's something that wasn't in the docs, and I suggested to the community that should have that there, and I also pinged one of the team and said, hey, it would be awesome if there was a note here on the documentation that said when RETH is at a premium, there is an arbitrage opportunity, and if you don't use this Rocket Arb software, you'll most likely be front run by an MEV bot, or you pretty much will be front run by an MEV bot and lose out on that profit opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean that I lost anything. I just lost out on taking advantage of that premium. At least that's my understanding of it. Any Rocket Pool people, please, feel free to correct me on that, but that's my understanding of it. But yeah, as I said, waiting still patiently another few hours to go till my node is activated, and then I'll be able to be officially on the Rocket Pool network as a validator there. And another reason why I'm spinning up this mini pool now, of course, is because I'm part of the next set of ODAO members being considered to be part of the next set of members being considered to be added to the ODAO for Rocket Pool. And obviously, you need to be running a mini pool for that. So yeah, it's all spun up. It's all well and good. Just waiting for it to activate now. But as I said, just massive kudos to the Rocket Pool community for what they've built here. I hope more people use it. I want to see Rocket Pool's dominance on the network go above 2%. I would love to see it go up to 10%. Hopefully, we can get there with withdrawals enabled. Maybe people say, okay, well, maybe they don't have enough for solo staking, but you only need 16 ETH to set up a mini pool. And I'm talking pure solo staking. So Rocket Pool mini pool is the next best thing. So if you do have 16 ETH, then and obviously you need to bond a bit of RPL as well. I think it's I think the minimum right now is 127 RPL, which isn't nothing. It's a couple of grand or just above that at current prices. But that plus the 16 ETH is less than the 32 ETH you would require to do solo staking. So if you don't have that, if you have the RPL and the 16 ETH, you can go ahead and spin up your own mini pool. But just remember, you need to use the Rocket Arb software, because if you don't, you're going to lose out on a potential profit opportunity from that as well. All right, so Remy Roy here from the ETH Staker community has put out a tweet thread describing a new Ethereum testnet project called Ephemery. I think that's how you pronounce it. It has the goal of creating a testnet that is ephemery. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. And that resets every few days or weeks. Our goal is to create a testnet that is well suited for testing a staking setup before going on mainnet, but also for any use case that does not need long-lived and durable storage. We're looking for Genesis node operators, testers who want to set up different client pairs, people to create and help the documentation, and developers who want to start implementing this in Ethereum clients, wallets, and all tools generally used within the Ethereum network. With an Ethereum network, you can get a glimpse of the current iteration of the Ephemery testnet on this URL here. So I'll link this in the YouTube description below if you want to reach out to Remy, reach out to the Ephemery builders here and get involved with this. But I think this is great. There are obviously the two testnets that I mentioned before that are already live, Sepolia and Girly, and I mean Ropsten's still live as well. But we lost oh man, the name eludes me right now. We lost the other testnet, or it was shut down not too long ago. Oh man, Rinkeby, that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure Rinkeby's shut down. I haven't heard anyone talk about it in a while. But that one got shut down. Ropsten's getting shut down. We have the two long-lived one, which is Sepolia and Girly. I don't think we need more than two long-lived ones, right? And now with Ephemery, they're trying to be a short-lived one where you can basically just test things out and it keeps being kind of like reset, and it's not like you build something on there and it's going to be there in maybe a week. It'll just be there for a few days, couple days, whatever, and it's just a good way to test short-lived things. So yeah, definitely go check this out. I'll link Remy's tweet thread in the YouTube description below. All right, some massive news in the mev-boost world. We have two more credibly neutral relays that just launched. And by credibly neutral, I mean, of course, uncensored or non-censoring relayers. So one of them comes from Gnosis DAO, and the other one comes from ultrasound.money. So you can check out these relays at agnostic-relay.net, which is the Gnosis DAO relay, and relay.ultrasound.money, which is obviously the ultrasound.money relay. And the reason I'm so excited about this is because, as I said, guys, one of the main things to help with the, I guess, like censorship issues that have sprung up because of MEV is for there to be more relayers, and of course, in addition to that, to be more builders. Now, the builder stuff will get better over time, especially now that the builder software is open source, and everyone can kind of look at that and build it and modify it to their heart's content. But also, like the additional relays being spun up is just as important as well here. So I'm super excited to see these two new ones spun up here, and you can point your validators to them if you are using mev-boost. People have been asking me lately about this and about why I don't run mev-boost on my validators at all. Not even like the non-censoring relays. I am running mev-boost, or I will be running it on my rocket pool mini pool, because I feel like I should do that, because the rewards go to everyone, go to the community. I don't want to be the guy who says, no, I'm not going to run mev-boost on my rocket pool mini pool. But with my actual solo validators, the reason I don't run it, and obviously I wouldn't run the censored relays, I'd only run the uncensored ones. But the reason I don't run it at all, I mean, there's two reasons. The first reason is that I think, and this is my own personal definition, and I don't try to push this on anyone, but if you want to be a true solo staker on the network, you need to be building your own blocks, right? And by running mev-boost, you aren't building your own blocks. You are outsourcing that to a third party. Now, why is this an issue, or why do I think that? Well, so that's the first reason. And then the second reason is that even though these relays say they're not censoring now, there's no way for me to know that if they're going to change their rules from underneath me and not tell anyone, and then, unless I'm monitoring it day to day, and then a block gets produced using, I'm part of building a block that contained, or at least was censoring on the network. I don't want to be a part of that at all. So from that perspective, they're two very ideological driven decisions from me, and maybe I'll change my mind in the future around it. But people will say, well, you're missing out on like a lot of rewards by not running mev-boost. And it's like, okay, yeah, I am, but like, I don't care. Like, I'm not a profit maximalist. Like, honestly, I run validators purely because I want to help the network, and I'm not selling my ETH anyway because I just love stacking ETH. And I think that, me having my ETH obviously gives me a massive buy-in into Ethereum as well, and allows me to be part of Ethereum's success. But I'm not profit maximalist to the point where I'm like, oh, I need to really like optimize how much yield I'm getting on my validators. I need to run all the MEV boost relays and even the censoring ones, and I need to scrounge up this, and I need to optimize my gas for this, and I need to optimize my rewards here. Like I'm not like that. I've never been one to min-max things. Yes, of course, I optimize things here and there. I optimize it so my validators run flawlessly and they have, pretty much 100% uptime. Well, at least the new ones do. My first one, for those of you who know, was actually not running very well for quite a while there. But the newer ones that I spun up, definitely I try to make sure they've had 100% uptime since I spun them up. But yeah, that's just my own personal decision, and I really want to stress that I don't knock anyone for running MEV boost relays at all. Like, you should do that. I mean, it's part of the network. I mean, if we don't want it part of the network, then we have to enshrine it with PBS, and then we have to work to eliminate as much MEV as possible. But the MEV boost software has actually been a massive positive for Ethereum. Without it, MEV would have concentrated and centralized completely, and it would have been, I think, really bad for the Ethereum network if that was to happen. So the software is net positive. And even if you are running it with regulated relays, I mean, I'm not going to knock you for that either. You can do what you want. At the end of the day, like, it's your validator, right? It's who you choose to go with. And if you're outsourcing your staking to a third party, whether that be through liquid staking or otherwise, again, like, I mean, you're already outsourcing your staking responsibilities. You're not going to care about if it's using regulated or unregulated relays here. Or maybe you do, and you want to withdraw from that entity, but you don't want to take the discount, and you're waiting for withdrawals to be enabled and all that stuff there. So yeah, if you are a solo staker and you do run MEV Boost and you do run the censored relays, I would suggest setting the min fee to 0.05 ETH, right? As I suggested from Flashbots' blog post last week that they put out, just because it's like, it really helps the network, and the justification obviously was given in the blog post that your APR would only drop by, I think, 0.2% or something like that, which is basically nothing. So unless you're a pure profit maximalist and 0.2% is really going to make a massive difference for you, then fair enough, don't put that flag in. But if, yeah, you still want to run on the censored relays because you want to get as much profit as possible, but then you're willing to forego 0.2% so you can help the network out with that, then do that. But if you don't want to run a censored relay at all, you've got that option as well, and now you have two new relays here to go along with that too, with the agnostic relay and the ultrasound relay. Now, on the topic of MEV Boost and the topic of how a lot of things have been coming out over the last few months since the OFAC sanctions to help with the censorship, Hasu quote tweeted Jimmy Ragosa today, who also noticed that the MEV boost censorship is on a downward trajectory here. It seems to have peaked at 79% and has been on a clear downtrend. Maybe he watches the refill, I don't know. But basically, he pointed that out, and then Hasu quote tweeted this and said, the things that are enabling this are more neutral relays coming online, such as the ones I just spoke about, adoption of that minimum bid, which is from the blog post that Flashbots put out that I also just talked about, and existing relays accepting submissions from external builders, which is also very important, because if the relays are not accepting submissions from external builders, there could still be a censorship vector there. And as Hasu says, this should make this chart look quite different over time. And I've discussed this a lot, where I basically said that, some Flashbots and Block Native and Eden and whatever shutting down their censoring relays wouldn't actually be a long-term solution. It's a band-aid solution. The long-term solutions are all the things that we've seen come out over the last few months and the things that will come in the future as well. I mean, we didn't even, I think the min bid thing, the 0.05 ETH min bid thing, was only looked at post-sanctions. I don't think that had been looked at before then. So we're coming up with even newer ways that no one's even thought of before because of these sanctions. So I've said it a few times, I'll say it again, the sanctions seem to be a blessing in disguise here for Ethereum censorship resistance. And on that note, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a new blog post from Chris Hager here. He works at Flashbots, which is actually a technical guide and knowledge base for running MEV Boost Relay at scale. So it includes the major learnings from operating the Flashbots Relay, which is obviously going to be very useful for people that want to build similar tools as well. So build builders and things like that. So again, this is another, I guess, thing that helps with censorship resistance, as a second order effect, because it lets people develop better builders, lets people be more competitive, and hopefully gets people building things that are non-censoring here. All right, moving on. So Hot Protocol had a big November month here. So not just for Hot, but for the industry at large, as they say here. One thing is certain: trustless bridging infrastructure has never been more important than today. In total, users bridged $158 million in volume this month, or in the month of November, a 60% increase over the previous month. What bear market, guys? Seriously, like. When I look at the growth of layer twos, which bridges obviously play a big part in, I'm looking at that. I'm like, this isn't a bear market. This doesn't look like it's going through a bear market at all. It's growing. And I've shown the metrics the other day on that dashboard about how much it's growing. And people are getting excited about it. There are some with tokens. There are some without tokens. So it's not just people farming airdrops, right? Like, I mean, I know Optimism is going to do a second airdrop sometime in the future, but like there is not much details around that, and I doubt many people are farming that. Obviously, with Arbitrum, since people assume they're going to do a token, people are potentially farming that. But I honestly, I don't think there's too much of that going on necessarily. I think people are getting real value out of a lot of the apps on these networks. And on Arbitrum, for instance, I hear about a lot of apps on there. People talk about GMX a lot. I've seen that get quite a lot of usage, and then all the apps that we know and love already from Ethereum mainnet being ported to these networks, and all that sort of stuff. I've seen it talked about a lot, and it's not just people trying to farm the airdrop. I mean, obviously there is a portion of that. I'm not going to deny that, but we're seeing real organic growth on these things, which is just amazing to see. So yeah, great to see the growth of Hot Protocol as well. I mean, Hop already has a token. They've already done their airdrop too. So again, this is organic stuff. This isn't actually, I mean, there's obviously token incentives and things like that, but this isn't people farming an airdrop here, because as far as I know, Hop hasn't announced any plans to do a second airdrop. So very cool to see this organic growth of their protocol. All right, moving on to a little thread from Coinbase here, or Coinbase Wallet, I should say. They've said here, as more and more users opt for self-custody, Coinbase Wallet remains dedicated to shipping great features. From new testnets to free Web3 usernames, let's dive into what launched in November. And this is basically an update thread on what they launched in November, such as claiming your free Web3 username, doing more with your wallet, transaction previews, multi-chain without the pain, more to explore with NFTs and other similar things. Polygon Mumbai and Optimism Girly testnet faucets, and new DApp integrations. And I mean, you can check all this out. I'll link the thread in the YouTube description. But I mean, Coinbase Wallet is fast becoming has become one of the best mobile wallets out there, especially for the normies, right? Because I think that it has the Coinbase brand, so automatically people are going to be like, okay, well, I want to use this because it has the Coinbase brand. I trust it. I know Coinbase is a trusted entity in this ecosystem, and if they're in the US, especially, they're probably like, oh wow, I bought my crypto using Coinbase. I'll just download Coinbase Wallet and use that. And it is self-custodied. It's not custodied by Coinbase, which I think is extremely important because Coinbase is promoting this themselves. There's not a lot of exchanges that will promote this to their users, whereas Coinbase is, because they, I think, see the bigger picture. They see the 10-year timeline here of DeFi taking over, and self-custody taking over, and on-chain stuff taking over, and then Coinbase wants to be at the center of that. They don't want to just cede all the market share to on-chain things. They want to actually be able to capture that value through a wallet, which I think is very, very important because wallets are that front door. So if you can capture the value via a wallet and capture the users via a wallet, then any loss of market share on the, I guess, like centralized exchange side in Coinbase's case can be made up for in a wallet. So yeah, very cool to see this from Coinbase Wallet. All right, a big announcement from Uniswap. NFTs are now live on the platform. Starting today, you can trade NFTs across major marketplaces to find more listings and better prices. And they also airdropped $5 million of USDC to historical Genie users. I believe the airdrop was $300 or something per user. So obviously not the big airdrops that we were used to in the bull market, but something nonetheless. And they're also offering gas rebates to the first 22,000 buyers. Now, you may be wondering what this is exactly. Well, it is an NFT aggregator. So Uniswap isn't launching their own marketplace for NFTs. They are aggregating them. So they're aggregating all these NFTs from major marketplaces, including OpenSea, X2Y2, SudoSwap, LooksRare, and more. And you'll get the widest range of NFTs at the best prices by going to Uniswap's NFT interface. This isn't surprising at all that they launched this, considering that they acquired Genie, which was the NFT aggregator that Uniswap is obviously deploying this off the back of. But I think this is This is like really big because Uniswap has the brand, right? It has the awareness, it has the trust, it has the existing user base that would already be into NFTs if they're regular users of Uniswap because they're used to kind of like trading tokens and things like that. Because NFTs are tokens too, obviously. Not just I meant ERC20 tokens, right? So they're going to leverage all of that, and I can imagine. I can easily imagine NFT Uniswap becoming a very big, if not the biggest, I guess like a marketplace for NFTs. Even though they are an aggregator, so they're not the marketplace themselves, they're probably going to become that front door, that portal for all of these different marketplaces. So yeah, it's going to be cool to see how that growth kind of plays out over time. But yeah, massive announcement from Uniswap today. You can go check it out. I'll link their little thread in the YouTube description below. All right, so Owocki here put together a little tweet thread today titled "The Green Pill Thesis," where he says there is trillions of dollars being spent on public goods annually. What if regen Web3 could allocate the capital better? So I've talked about. I think I've talked about Owocki's green pill thesis before, and he talks about this a lot on his podcast that's hosted by Bankless. But basically, he wants to use regenerative finance, or that concept of regenerative finance that Gitcoin has been using and other public goods initiatives in Ethereum have been using, and apply that to allocating capital better outside of crypto. Now, I highlighted the other day that Gitcoin was working with, God, I can't remember the organization, but it was a UNICEF. They were working with UNICEF to fund things via that, and that's obviously a non-crypto thing. And Owocki's trying to take this even further. He's like, okay, well, how much dollars are being spent on public goods annually? It's $10 trillion. And apparently this is spent on public goods in 2021 in the US alone. So not globally, in the US alone. So, I mean, globally, it's going to probably be a lot more than that. And then his green pill thesis has he's got a short thread here describing this with a bunch of graphics. Web3, and he says Web3 provides a better coordination substrate for deployment of capital to fund public goods. And then he's got his graphic here, which you can read. I'll link this in the YouTube description below for you to give a read to. But basically, he says, for example, legacy institutions for supporting public goods are opaque. You don't really have much visibility of what's going on there. But with Web3, it provides a better coordination substrate because it's transparent. Legacy public goods is unaccountable. I mean, it's very hard to get accountability here. The people that hold them accountable are usually governments, and governments can be corrupt. And as I said, it's opaque. Whereas using Ethereum, there's an uncorruptible base layer that you can use. You can set it up and automate it via smart contracts. Legacy institutions are inefficient. I mean, I don't even have to describe that. Obviously, they are. Whereas Web3 can be much more efficient. It's programmable. We can make smart contracts basically take away all that inefficiency. And obviously, with legacy institutions, it's often centralized. Whereas with Web3 and Ethereum, it's permissionless and decentralized. And there's other graphics here that you can check out. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but you can check this out. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. But I just wanted to highlight this for you guys because this is definitely something that I'm passionate about, and I think a lot of you are too. All right, so Casa here, I don't know how to. I think this is Casa, which has traditionally been a Bitcoin custody solution for a long time now. They also used to make little Bitcoin node boxes with, I believe, Raspberry Pis or little mini PCs. I don't think they do that anymore. But they announced today that they will be supporting Ethereum alongside Bitcoin with Casa starting in January. And they'll be rolling out a new app design to support this. Now, this is really cool because I've heard good things about Casa as a custody solution from people in the Bitcoin community. But the hilarious thing is that if you go to the quote tweets on this and you read the replies, all the Bitcoin maximalists are pretty much trying to cancel this company, saying, I'm never using your product again. You're not Bitcoin only anymore. You're embracing shitcoins, or you're embracing unregulated securities, which is also always bizarre to me that they always use the unregulated security thing. It's like Bitcoin is being status simps. That will always be bizarre to me. But anyway, just if you want to get some entertainment, you can read the replies and read the quote tweets here, because this is what happens when these, I guess, like traditionally Bitcoin only and Bitcoin maxi companies, so to speak, go and branch out. They get canceled by these, I guess, purists, by these loyalists. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it, of course. Like, I'm not going to, like, for example, I was talking yesterday about how, maybe MetaMask will support Solana. I'm not going to, if MetaMask announced that, I'm not going to go to MetaMask and be like, oh, you guys shouldn't support Solana. What is this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't care. They can support whoever they want. Businesses can do whatever they want. MetaMask is a business at the end of the day, right? they make money from MetaMask through the swap feature. But yeah, I mean, not to take away from the announcement here, but I just thought that was a funny thing to highlight. But great to see Casa branching out. I think, Bitcoin only businesses never made sense. And I think that a lot of the people trying to cancel them are definitely probably not even users of Casa. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they have in store for us for the Ethereum community in January here. All right, so there was a new layer 2 announced yesterday, and I hadn't heard of this until it was announced. It's called Mantle Network, and they're building themselves as a high-performance Ethereum layer 2 network with modular design, low fees, and high security. They say Mantle's unique architecture will power the next generation of hyperscale dApps and accelerate the mass adoption of Web3 technology. Buzzwords galore there, right? But I figured I'd just read it out for you guys. But not much more information on them right now. Apparently, this is a product of the BitDAO community, which is a bit weird because the BitDAO community also committed $200 million worth of funds to ZK Sync. So, is Mantle supposed to be a competitor to ZK Sync or a complement? It's a bit confusing, right? That was my first thought. And then my second thought is also that the L2 space is getting crowded now. And this is what I love to see. Remember I said to you guys that we're not going to see many L1s launching anymore, but we are going to be seeing more and more L2s launching. Well, we are, I mean, it's happening slowly, but it's happening. And the L2 space really is getting crowded because I do believe these generalized L2 platforms, there's not going to be that many winners. But the app specific ones, like the app chain stuff is different, but in terms of the generalized platforms, there's only going to be a handful of winners and it really is becoming crowded. But this is amazing. It means there's more competition. We're going to get more iterations, more research, more development happening, and it's going to lead to a better experience for all of us. So I'm really happy that Mantle Network has announced themselves and exists. But I would love to learn more about them, which you can on their website here, but I don't think there's that much detail yet. There is obviously a bunch of marketing speak and obviously what you do on a website here with a roadmap as well. I don't know if I saw a white paper or anything on here. Maybe there is and I just haven't seen it. No, I mean there's a career section and stuff like that as well. And there's a developers in the career section here. And then if I click learn more, is there a white paper? Yeah, there's like a blog post, I guess, but yeah, not too much details yet, but still something to keep an eye on, that's for sure. But great to see another layer 2 join the fray. Just wanted to put that on your radar, and I'll keep up to date with this, of course, for you guys. All right, last up here, we have a partnership between Superfluid and Cryptocurrency Jobs. And you guys know that I'm an investor in Superfluid, and I've been good friends with Daniel, who runs Cryptocurrency Jobs for a while, so just disclosures there. But Superfluid says, starting today, you can create and browse job postings on Cryptocurrency Jobs that pay in salary streams, enabling instant access to your funds, no payment delays, and frictionless transfers. So that's what Superfluid enables, obviously. And you can kind of check out the positions here as Cryptocurrency Jobs section where it says jobs that stream pay in crypto, and these are the jobs that do it. There's not that many jobs right now that are doing that and have announced that they're doing it. I think there's only 2 that you can see here, both at CoinShift. But if you click through to it, and I think if you go down to I don't know where it is exactly on the page here, but basically I'm sure it's somewhere. No, I don't know where it is actually. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but this is the section that you want to be going to: jobs that stream to pay in crypto, which is and uniquely enabled by Superfluid. And if you are someone who is looking for a job that streams that streams via Superfluid here, you can check out these. But also, if you are an employer and you want to post a job to Cryptocurrency Jobs and you are planning to do streaming salaries, then this is the section to do it. It's not very crowded right now, so you know obviously normally things get pretty crowded on these jobs websites, but you can stand out by doing this. So that's a competitive advantage, that's for sure, at least for hiring. So cool to see this little partnership here, and yeah, congrats to both of the teams here on doing this. But I think on that note, that's going to be it for today. So thank everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.